Welcome to Gumball Love. I'm Melissa Ledger, professional relationship coach, creator of Gumball Love and the Back to You Academy. If you're ready to stop the cycle of toxic men, get through the breakup once and for all, and finally get back to you, you are in the right place. This journey is about healing your heart, and you are encouraged to take the pace that is just right for you. In the process, you will build a foundation of confidence and strength that will make you unshakable, I promise. So get ready to level up your mindset and your lifestyle as you awaken the seeds of greatness just waiting to burst into full bloom. Let's do this. Welcome back to another episode of Gumball Love. I'm your host, Melissa Ledger. I hope you had an amazing Labor Day weekend. It is absolutely beautiful here in New York City, and I hope you are safe if you're in the Florida area with that huge hurricane. Oh my gosh, please be safe. Please drive to safety. Please get your water and all the supplies. It's so scary to see that happening to Florida. So if you're in Florida, my heart goes out to you, and I hope that you have found safety inland, or you've flown to a relative's home and you've hunkered down and everything and all of your belongings are safely secured. So with that, we are going to talk about how to recognize the very, very early signs of a Gumball Guy. Do you know that I feel like I have ninja skills in this area? Like I can sense a Gumball Guy and a certain type of Gumball Guy in a matter of sometimes seconds. Sometimes I can be standing at Starbucks and look at him and know. And this is the skill that I want to give you by hearing this stuff as much as you possibly can. So finally, I want you to get to the point where I sound repetitive to you. Like, okay, yep, I've seen that. I've heard that. Yep, I know. Okay. Like you will get to a point. It might take a while. It's taken me a while. It's weird to me that I'm the creator of this concept, because as the creator of it, it's also been an evolving thing that I've continued to learn. And all of these facets and all these nuances of Gumball Guys, I continue to see more and more and more. And I'm also hearing all of your stories. As a coach, I'm sitting here listening and helping so many women. And what's happened in the past year, even in the last 2 years since I've launched the Academy, that I really have started to see even more patterns. So when you join the Back to You Academy, you really get that vantage point, because I'm only giving you the surface stuff on the podcast. I can't get into the depth, but inside the Academy, you get audios like this. You get to interact with us in a weekly coaching call, plus you get one-on-one time with me. So imagine that, like we're going to work together one-on-one. You're going to be on a weekly group coaching call, and you get all the content inside the Academy, the audios, which go through basically from the very beginning of how this all starts to if you're going through a breakup, like you can literally pick within the Academy itself where you are. Are you going through a breakup? Are you really trying to get over him? Or are you really just getting back to your life? So I know that getting back to you is a lot of times getting over him first. And what I've tried to create is a combination, because I've realized that 100% focus on him is not the way to get back to yourself. So we have to kind of interweave things that are weaving in. Who am I? What am I doing? Am I focused on me, or am I focused on him? And creating a support system around that. So the Back to You Academy doors are officially open, by the way, and I'm not going to do a long commercial on this, but I just want you to know they are open, and we are going to do this once a month. So we had open enrollment all through August as I was getting systems in place. Systems are now getting in place, so you'll start getting emails this week. In fact, you may have one in your inbox today, and I'm really going through. Now, I want to tell you, please know that every single email that I wrote to you is from my heart. Like I sat at this desk for hours and hours and hours thinking about how to share so many different aspects of this message with you and different stories of women that have gone through this academy. So know that I sat there, I wrote it. It's from my heart, from my hands, from my head to you. So even if you don't join the Academy, I'd love to hear from you and just anything that you're gaining from those emails as we launch the Back to You Academy that starts September 9th, which is a Monday. So if you are ready to get your life back on track from a bad relationship, If you are in a relationship right now and you are not able to figure out how to get out of it, if you are single and you feel like, Melissa, I hear what you're saying about the Gumball Guy, but I feel like I'm too overwhelmed and I don't know about dating. I haven't done it in a long time, or I'm on these dating websites and it's like pure hell. I'm here to help you. So the Back to You Academy is exactly what you need. I'm telling you, you guys, I had a girl join, the last one that joined. She proactively reached out to me yesterday and was like, hey, can you send me the link to your membership? Because I want to make, she just like doesn't want to miss anything because she's made so much progress. I cannot wait to share her story with you. She's, oh my gosh, she's like on fire. And we started from tears through the first hour to like tears to triumph is what I would name her because she is freaking awesome. So I can't share anything with her story yet because it's too fresh, but more to come on that. All right, I'm going to dig in because I don't want you to get too overwhelmed with the Academy stuff. I hate when people talk too long or sell stuff, but I have to learn how to sell my own stuff because I don't tend to do it very well. My coaches are telling me, Melissa, your Academy helps people. You need to sell it. You need to talk about it more. So I always try to stay transparent with you through this process. And I'm getting better. So here we go. All right. How do you see this from the very beginning? This makes me the most excited because it saves you the most time. Okay. Like if you feel like, Melissa, I just got myself back together, or I just got over him, or he just went out of my life. Like, if I am going to date again, how am I ever going to notice this? Now, if you know me, I'm going to tell you, don't date until you've gone through the healing process. So if you are going through the healing process, I want you to just apply this, but I also want you to feel, or not feel, but I want you to start observing this in all relationships, like everybody you're looking at. I just want you to start observing men and women too, but really observe the men. And these are some of the very, very early signs. I was talking through this with a person in my academy yesterday, and she was hanging out with this guy. It's been about 3 weeks. And, there were some good things and bad things. I don't want to get too personal in her story either. I'm very careful, you guys. I don't like to talk about your stories unless I could keep it generic enough that, you don't feel like your privacy is violated. So, but what we noticed, and I also made some other notes too. So the very first sign, very first, is inconsistent communication. So you're texting and then there's like a lull and then they're back. And then it's kind of like this slow, fast, and then they're gone. And then, and I don't want to even tell you any more specifics because you know how it's hard to explain this to people? Like you show them the thread and they're like, I don't know, I don't really see anything. But in that moment or in the last few days that you've been talking to him, it's different. But it's hard to explain that to other people. And then you feel like, I guess maybe I am overreacting. Maybe he was. No, you're not overreacting. You were there in the moment and you felt the energy when it was being texted. I really can. Can't you feel energy? I can. I can feel energy or like tone that comes across. And you're like, okay, was that a jerk thing to say? Are you being a jerk? And usually you're right. Because I can even sense tone, like, especially when it's people that you really know well, you can really sense it, obviously. But even when you don't know them very well and it's like, okay, is this weird or is this, it'll feel off to you. You may not know. If you really know that person, you kind of, okay, well, when they say that, or like when my sister and I are texting and we small K, when you say K with a small K is like, I don't care. And large K is like K, like, so she'll write back, don't small K me. And sometimes we do it just to make each other mad or just give each other a hard time. But anyway, so you know what I'm saying though? We start to understand what that means. And we feel weird describing this to people because these are the things that when you attract a Gumball Guy and you're trying to stop attracting them, and then you're explaining these nuances, someone who doesn't relate to this will think you're crazy. They will look at you like, I don't know, I think you're reading too much into it. And let me tell you, every time I was onto something when I was developing this concept and this formula, and then I would doubt myself, it would always prove to be right in the end. Yep, I remember back when he was texting this and it slowed down and I was freaking out and I was worried on the other side. I tried to dismiss it like nothing was going on, and then actually something was going on. So it's only until you really start connecting with, and this is going to sound weird, but I want you to start connecting with as many normal people as you can. And even getting rid of some of these people, girlfriends, flaky girlfriends that text you like the Gumball Guys do, will give you, or you'll start to get used to that. So whatever you're used to, you're not going to notice as a red flag. If I have flaky friends, I'm not going to notice a flaky new guy or a potential boyfriend because this is what I'm used to. So sometimes we really have to evaluate all of our relationships. I just said this to my client yesterday. Are there other relationships where people are kind of taking advantage of you? And she was like, yeah, actually, there's this one girl. And so it's like those kinds of influences. I'm telling you what, ever since I've done therapy and I have really identified these, now when those types of people are around me, it's extremely taxing to me. Like I get really stressed out. My energy level changes because I have developed and created a lifestyle and surrounded myself with people that vibe at the frequency. And I hate saying that because I don't know if that's like the right way to say it, but it does feel like a frequency that is different. And it feels like when you're with the wrong people, you sort of change to music that you don't really enjoy. You know how when you're like sitting there like, why am I irritated? And then it's like some music has been on that's like annoying and you turn it off and you're like, oh, and it's like, it's weird, but that energy coming from that music isn't syncing up with you. And so if we are around people that aren't syncing up with us on a regular basis, we become accustomed to the lack of syncing, if that's a term. Sorry, I feel like I'm not really right on my game right now, but okay. So I want to get into the very, very early signs kind of in a bullet pointed way. So one, we talked about it, the inconsistent communication. Don't think you're crazy. When you see that, and it's also communication and the inconsistency in the time they spend with you. Or if you haven't met them, they suddenly get or always are reluctant to make plans. So time and communication, like time around you, communication with you, that becomes an unknown. If you find that you are wondering a lot, like, okay, are we going to hang out? Is he going to text back? And then you get a different kind of response to sometimes the exact same material that you're talking about. Like if you bring up, let's say you really had an in-depth conversation about, say, his relationship with his brother. And then you bring it up again. And the first time you talked about it, he was really deep and he really got into it. The second time you bring it up, he's like, yeah, it's fine. I mean, and you're like, oh, well, when you were saying before, oh, no, I mean, it happens a lot. It's fine. Bleh. And then you're like, okay, well, the first time you told me you weren't that way. So now you're like, immediately in that moment, intimacy is interrupted because now he's not being authentic about, it's either like, okay, well, were you being authentic then? Or are you being authentic now? Is it really not that big of a deal? Or was it a big deal before and now you just don't want to talk about it? So you're going to brush it off. And it also dismisses you for asking, because you'll also sense in those moments where not only you are asking because you care, because he chose to really be vulnerable with you about that, but now he's like, oh no, it's okay. Like, or sometimes you get like, why are you asking about that? Like you almost feel like you're being made fun of. And it's because, and let me tell you, I used to get super offended. Like, okay, well, I was just asking because I would get all like, I was just asking because you shared that with me and I was just, I care. And he's like, well, I mean, and then, you know what I'm saying? Like, that's the argument that you would be in, where now I want you to go, okay. So the first time I asked, first time we talked about it, there was this whole conversation. And now you're acting completely weird and different. So what that tells you is he's not really in touch with who he is. He's not connected to himself or his own emotions. Do you know that this is what emotionally unavailable means? I don't see how what I am doing, how that is affecting you. So if I act a certain way and I don't see it, I always use the example, if I take a knife and I stab you and you are bleeding, and then I ask you, why are you bleeding? And you're like, you just stabbed me. And I say, no, I didn't. I don't remember doing that. You would just stare at me like, you have a knife in your hand. And then the emotionally unavailable person goes, oh, I don't, you gave me this knife, or I didn't pick this knife up. And then you're like, oh my God. It's like in those moments, you're like, okay, do you not see what's actually happening? And they really don't. There's a huge disconnect. You said this and it hurt my feelings. And they're like, I didn't say that to hurt your feelings, or I don't remember saying that. Or sometimes there is, and this is where it's very difficult to do this on a podcast, because in your situation, there could be one situation or the other happening, or somewhere in the middle. But I'm trying to give you a broad perspective on just those disconnects where you're like, what are you even saying? So when we're not communicating consistently, when we're not responding consistently, it's because our lives are turbulent. And so when we're turbulent, it's hard, right? When you're on an airplane and it's turbulent, everything is splashing around. You can't hold your drink. It's unstable. But when somebody is cruising, they're at that cruising altitude and everything is stable, then when they get a text message from you and they're reading their book, they can finish reading, put their book down, message back, or make arrangements. So I really want you to start thinking about, am I with somebody who has a sense of calm in their life? It doesn't mean that they're not passionate, but that there is a regularity to what they're doing. They go to work, they have consistent stories that they talk about that, and they're not, work isn't always dramatic and all over the place. And if they're doing, say, a side hustle, that's not always dramatic and all over the place. They're consistently talking to their people. Like if you look at me, I have a full-time job and I'm consistently doing that every single day. You get your weekly podcast. I do an academy every single week. I have my 2 dogs. I'm going to the gym, not as much regularly, but I'm getting back on track. I kind of got off my gym game recently, but I'm getting that back. But I'm at the dance studio every single week. Like there is a lot of routine to what I do every single week. And I'm very calm. Like if you spent a week with me, you would be like, okay, this is a very methodical, I don't do exactly the same thing every day because that would probably drive me crazy. But I can tell you that I'm always taking out my trash because I hate trash in the house. And my dishes are always done. My laundry is always caught up. You know what I mean? It's just, there are systems in place, and I'm always looking at more systems to just keep everything organized, right? Because it's the way that I don't want to not be calm. I love to be calm. I love to have everything in order where it's smooth. And when I'm taking the dog, and now dogs, by the way, and I can say dogs again. I got a new puppy this weekend. Oh my gosh. Her name is Lulu. Just as a side note, Lulu was the middle name of Emma, who passed away last Thanksgiving. And Charlie, I had this middle name Madison for her, but it just never sounded right. And so I decided to give her my other dog's middle name, May. So it was Maggie May and Emma Lulu Bean. So now I have Charlie May and Lucy Lulu. So Lucy joined us. This is her 4th day here now. So we had her Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. So this is Sunday that I'm recording this now. So you'll be getting this Labor Day on Monday or Tuesday, depending on Dana, my producer's schedule. So shout out to Dana for cranking out these podcasts every week. She's doing a phenomenal job. Also, so much help to me. And also, bringing a podcast producer into the mix is also another system that I put in place to keep the calm. So getting back to that, you have to have systems in place so that you can keep calm. And so when we are talking to people, guys, if we're talking to a guy and he is erratic in his responses, I don't want you to immediately think, oh, he's not interested. He's losing interest. I want you to immediately think, maybe disorganized, maybe not. He's in rough waters. What's causing the rough waters? And as you communicate with him, try to figure out what's going on. How's work going? How's your family? How's your brother? Whatever you've been talking about, or you can say you seem a little tired. Are you tired? Ooh, that's another one. They'll go from being really excited to like, oh, I'm just tired. And you're like, really? You're tired? This is the second time we've talked to each other. And there's like a lack of enthusiasm on the other side too, where it's like, okay, you're tired, you're enthusiastic, so we're up, we're down, right? Those are your big red flags. So inconsistency in communication, inconsistent about the time he wants to spend, inconsistency with his demeanor, his energy level. Energy level will fluctuate, and that's what's causing all the other things to fluctuate. So your job is to figure out what makes his energy fluctuate. What causes him to be up and down? And I want you to always, do you see how this immediately separates you from him? Just because he starts texting a girl, if I start texting a guy right now, I'm not going to stop doing my podcast. I'm not going to stop doing my laundry. I'm not going to stop doing, all of my systems are in place. I'm not going to stop doing any of those. So it shouldn't cause a bunch of erratic behavior just because I start texting somebody or I meet somebody. I'm going to respond to him exactly how I respond to my mom, my sister, my dad, my friends, all of you that are messaging me on Instagram or Facebook. Please message me on Instagram though, because Facebook Messenger is ridiculous if you have a business page. I hate it. And you're owned by the same company. I don't know why. If you have a business page on Facebook, isn't it so annoying? And your notifications of how people have liked your posts, it's so irritating. But anyway, you know what I'm saying? So I want you, the reason I'm telling you that is so that you can picture how ridiculous it is to think that you have caused this guy to change so dramatically. You are not the cause of it. Okay. So annoying, right? I just get so fired up about this. Very early signs, though, other than all those inconsistencies, are talking about other women. My client brought this up to me about this guy who was talking about other women. I'm going to use a different example than she used, just to not reveal anything about her. Let's see. Okay. I'm going to use a totally different. He's like, yeah, I see women, I see girls like around here driving around in like Mercedes and Lexuses and stuff. And, like whatever. And then he went on to like, but he categorized certain kinds of women doing a certain kind of thing, driving a certain kind of car, carrying a certain kind of bag. And I asked her, okay, what is that saying to you? What is he saying? And she had a brilliant response. She said, well, he's telling me that there are other options out there. Like I run into women basically like you all the time. And I was like, ooh, that wasn't where I was going with it, but I was thinking she's dead on. That's exactly what he was saying. Like, yeah, I see these kind of women all the time. However, what I was seeing also is that by him saying, yeah, I see women that drive, let's just say for the sake of the conversation, she drives a Mercedes, okay? He's saying to her, oh, you think you're better? You think you're better that you drive a Mercedes? Like, I can drive. So it was like, he was saying, no, I'm going to stick with this. When he's like, you think you're better? When someone is like, what, you think you're better than me? When they assume that you think you're better, when you have given no indication other than just owning a possession or living a lifestyle. Sometimes we have certain things that denote a certain lifestyle. And so immediately he sees that as superior to him. So he's drawing attention to it to take her off. He's trying to knock her off her pedestal a little bit in his mind. But again, we have to look at this and say, because I have been the girl that had got offended and defensive about things that I have, the lifestyle that I live. And I never thought of it back then as, oh, he's coming from a position of feeling insecure. He's looking at these other women that have this car or carry this bag. And although he runs into them a lot and he dates them frequently, or he has the option of dating them frequently, kind of wants them to know, hey, you ain't all that in a bag of chips. So it's a very subtle way of saying, I know you feel like you're superior to me, but just know you're replaceable. So what's beyond that? That is anger. Anger toward women who I'm angry at the women who have rejected me, and the women that have rejected me look like you. So now I'm going to take that anger out on you because it's still festering inside. Boom. So when you see him being derogatory to other women, I also want you to picture yourself saying the exact same thing about men. Like, yeah, I see guys, driving around here in Mercedes all the time. Or I could say, yeah, I see these guys. They're at my work all the time. They're on Wall Street, walking around their suits. If I feel the way, if I like really kind of analyze how I feel when I say that, it's like, yeah, whatever. You think you're so cool in your suit, but I see you guys you're all the same. It's me trying to stereotype. It's me trying to put them in a category so I can say, yeah, you're all the same, whatever. I'm over it. Because I'm afraid of that guy, really. I'm afraid of that type of guy rejecting me. So I've got to lump them together so I can feel better about myself when I'm rejected by them. Does that make sense? So also, other than or in addition to them being derogatory about other women, they'll also be reliving their past relationships a lot. I coach clients where the guy shows up on date one and once she said, are you over your ex-wife? And he was like, why would you ask me that? And she's like, well, because we've been on a date and for the last 45 minutes, we've talked about your ex-wife. So when they come talking about their ex, it's because, look, everybody does the wrong things in relationships. Like I can tell you, when I went through all of my Gumball Guys and in therapy, I had to admit what I did wrong. I had to come to terms with why I was attracting them, when I was staying too long, when I was mouthing off back to them and I shouldn't have been. I was fighting against them when I really needed to leave. I was being immature too. And there's just a point that we all have to get. Like, okay, it's at the end of the relationship. I did this, he did that. You admit you're wrong. You come to terms with why it ended. So if you're carrying that into the next relationship and you're talking to the person you want to date, and you're talking about your ex, especially in a negative way, it means that you haven't owned your part. Okay. So the reason this is a huge red flag is that he is out there dating way too soon. So if he's feeling rejected by women, he's felt rejected by his ex who more than likely dumped him, and he's still not over it. He's still festering. He's still angry. You guys, it's just, we sit there and we want to be helpful. We want to be like, especially when, obviously in every situation, if you're sitting there for that long, you're attracted to him. And so you're waiting for the romance. And I'm telling you that we are putting our lives on hold because we are just sitting there waiting for that little tiny bit of romance that we might get at the end of a date, a makeout session, to be touched, to be held, to be someone to pay attention to us for a period of time. But when you're really sitting there, it's like, this guy's angry. This guy's talked about another woman. He's talked about his divorce excessively. And also there's way too much excess emotion too early. It's all signs of rough waters, too much turbulence, not enough systems in his life. So I want you to always be thinking, okay, go through your day and really figure out, how does this guy live his life on a daily basis? Now, obviously you don't want to sound like an interviewer, so you want to pick and choose the times that you ask, like, what do you do are you a morning person? Like, what is your morning routine like? obviously, I don't even know if you would say morning routine, but I want you to, as you're dating these guys, and by the way, you won't feel like you have to do any of this if you're with the right guy. But when you start thinking you're seeing red flags, then you're going to, I want you to have a method that you can use. So you're like, okay, this might be a gumball guy here. I might be seeing some red flags. So I'm going to kind of do a systems check here and go, okay, is this guy, what's his morning like? What's his afternoon like? What's his evening like? What does he do on Monday night, Tuesday night, Wednesday night, all the way through the week? Like, what are his weekends like? How does this guy spend his time? Is it all over the place? Is it consistent? Does he spend time around friends? Does he care about family? So you want to look at job, family, and hobbies, and how he spends his free time. How we spend our free time says a lot about us. So I want you to just, not that you're sitting there like some kind of a judge and jury, but I want you to evaluate that if you're sitting there, am I being rejected, or is this guy just a hot mess? Okay. I love the term hot mess or hot mess express. So you know what I figured out this is like for guys? When a gumball guy is dating you, a high caliber woman, he has been given a job he is not qualified to do. Okay. So I just thought of this on the fly. He's like a temp. If you ever been a temp, or you've been hired as a temporary worker, it's like the temp kind of fills a void while they look for the qualified candidate. Okay. So, oh my gosh, I'm totally using temp. I used to work in staffing years ago. So the temp is like, it's like sort of, let's say I told you I was just going to have you manage a Starbucks. Okay. But you've only had coffee at a Starbucks. Like, you don't really know how to run it, but and I had to say to you, okay, when you go in, don't tell anybody you've never run a Starbucks. So I need you to fake it. You could probably fake it. Like I could for a bit. And then it would become obvious in a short period of time, though. These people would be like, do you think she even knows how to make coffee? Have you ever thought this about your own bosses over the years? Like, do you think they could actually do my job if they had to? And you start to realize my boss isn't qualified to do this job, or have you ever been hired for a job you're not really qualified to do? I remember my first job in banking, and I was like, I have no idea. I remember I was hired to work in treasury services, and I really had no idea what treasury services really meant and what my piece of treasury was in the whole big picture. And I had no idea that no one actually would know that coming in, but I just thought I was supposed to know it. So I was silent. I didn't ask questions that I should have asked because I was like completely terrified that I had gotten the wrong job. So that's what these guys feel like. They're dating women that are completely out of their league. He doesn't know how to date you. He doesn't know how to court you. He doesn't know like where to take you on a date. And even if you told him, I like to go to this restaurant, he doesn't know how to order there. He doesn't know how to act in front of the waiter. This isn't what he does. You have a lifestyle that is different than him. And he's intimidated because he doesn't know how to live in that lifestyle. Just like you wouldn't know how to run a Starbucks. If I put you there, you could kind of figure it out for a while, but then you would be like, what would you start to do? You would start to ask the employees like, okay, you would finally have to fess up. Like, I don't really know how to do this. Or you might quit and just say, I got to do something else, whatever. So, or the temp that is actually like, hey, I know a little bit here, but I'm going to kind of feel my way. So I want you to think of these guys when you start dating them and they're not really asking you out. They're not really putting in much effort. What if he says like, hey, I can grab a bottle of wine and go out on the beach? That might be romantic and it's lovely, but it's like, if you're not going on any other dates, like how many of us have gone on the kind of, it's like he takes you out and it is romantic, but then he doesn't really do anything else. So it's like, yes, a walk on the beach with some wine is lovely if we're also doing other things and we're experiencing things together. So I'm going to give you the other side of it. When you're dating somebody who's legit, they know how to operate in your lifestyle. I'm going to give you an example. So when my mom turned 70, we took her to this really really like 5-star dining. I mean, it was like a little bit outside of my comfort zone. I've eaten 5-star, but this place was like posh, posh, posh. Right on the river, in Dumbo, Brooklyn. It's beautiful. It's called the River Cafe. You can look it up. It's phenomenal. The food was, oh my gosh, just delicious. So we dress up, we take her, she didn't want a big birthday party, so we just gave her. So it was the most expensive meal I've ever paid for in my life. My sister and I were like texting, holy shit, it was like so expensive. So, but it was like, whatever. I mean, it was her big birthday. So we were just like, we were splurging, right? It was fun. So, and I'm so glad, as a side note, that we didn't get her like a thing, like a gift, because paying for the experience, you would think it would be the opposite. Like you would think, well, I have this tangible thing, so that's better than the experience, but experiences outweigh physical items, like, 10 times over. So as I was sitting in there and we're looking at the bill, then I started looking around at dudes on dates, and I was thinking, there are dudes on dates in here, because this is the caliber that they like. This is the lifestyle they live in. So when this guy goes on dates, he's not trying to go cheap because, or he's not confused about where to go, or he knows how to talk to that waitress, because if he's by himself, he's eating at places like this. So wherever you live, I just want you to think of the caliber of man. Who are you dating? Are you dating a guy that doesn't even know how to ask you out? He doesn't even know how to go to that restaurant. He doesn't even know how to talk to that waiter. He doesn't know how to do it. He's trying to do a job. He's not qualified. He's sitting there like, we should get together. I'd love to let's go on the beach and grab some wine, and then he'll like not even have the appropriate glasses. And look, this is the thing. I'm not knocking the guy that doesn't know how to do those things, but he needs to understand who he's asking out. And if he wants to go out with a girl that has that lifestyle, he can't knock it. He can't make fun of her, because I don't really care. I know you're like me, where I don't need a fancy guy. You don't need a fancy guy, but we also don't need the guy that comes in and is like, I've seen girls like you. It's like, what is that? That's a guy that's jealous. That's a guy who's intimidated. That's a guy who's threatened. So he has to pull you down so that you now feel bad for expecting to be in the lifestyle you already live. This is why I tell you, take yourself out to dinner. If you take yourself out to dinner, where do you take yourself? Do you take yourself to McDonald's? I bet you don't. So where are you going? Where are you going, Peanut? Where do you go? When I think about taking myself out for breakfast, I think of going to the Four Seasons, where they have this beautiful lobby. And it's not like, for me, it's not an outrageous price. It's not something I'd want to do, every morning, but every once in a while. Four Seasons, oh my gosh, they have the most beautiful lobby. You can sit and work, and there's this ambiance. There's a vibe there. It's just, the bathrooms are beautiful. The Wi-Fi is great. The food is wonderful. The coffee is great. Like, that's where I like to be. And so gorgeous hotel lobbies, I feel comfortable there. That's my frequency. That's how I vibe. But another person could walk in and go, look around. And I always know when I'm on a date with the wrong guy, because he'll be like, wow, do you think like these people are like really rich? And it's like, I don't really care about rich people. I mean, rich people, a lot of those people are really unhappy. So I want to be around people that are happy, that love what they do and are passionate about their work and love their family and their friends. Like, we have to be passionate about people, passionate about helping people and creating things that are helping people. I mean, really, that's all we're doing. Any product that we're using, I mean, even the microphone that I'm speaking into, somebody had to really get passionate about creating this blue, I know it's called blue something microphone, so that my voice had quality when it comes across. And I have this foam thing sitting in front of me to make sure there's not too much echo. And people got passionate about that because they're helping other people. So I want to be around people that have the mindset of, let's create, let's build, let's grow, let's do things. I don't want to be around people that are jealous or always looking at what other people have. That's very demotivating to me. It doesn't fit into my lifestyle. So I want you to start looking at them differently and not judging yourself. Cause, I used to do this. I would hide. Kara from Champagne Diet, when we did our podcast, she said she was going to hide the fact. What actually her friend said, you're not taking your Chanel bag with you on your date. And she was like, yeah. She's like, oh, you can't do that. That's too expensive. It's going to intimidate him. It's like, you need to go out with a guy who he sees Chanel bags all the time. That's how he lives. That's who he's around. That's who his coworker is, or who his aunt or uncle. Maybe he has an uncle who carries a Chanel, whatever. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, we have to, what's around you and what's normal, and then find guys who live in that space that are also like, when I go anywhere outside New York, people think that living in New York is just crazy and it's so expensive. But if I talk to a guy that lives in the building next to me, he's not going to be like, whoa, can you believe we live here? The rent's so expensive. I mean, we might talk about the rent's expensive, but we get it and we know why we're here. And we're not going to be threatened by that because we're living the same life. You know what I'm saying? Like, I know this sounds simple, but I really feel like we're trying to overlook it because we're trying to force a guy to do a job he's not qualified to do. Basically, you're dating a temp. You're dating a temp. He's a temp. You can just text me and be like, Melissa, he's a temp. I'm dating a temp. You're dating a temp because, and then I'll tell you, if you date the temp, and so I told my client, I was like, you gotta let go of I didn't say the temp because I didn't think of that until this podcast, but it was like, we have to cut these guys out. We can't keep hanging out with them because I don't know about you, but I start to like the temp. And then I feel bad because I don't want to fire him because, he's not terrible. He's not the worst. He's not qualified, doesn't really know how to do the job, but maybe I could teach him, maybe you could teach this to him. But I want you to think of like, would you, if it was like a brain surgeon, be like, he doesn't know how to do brain surgery, but he's been around a lot of brain surgeries and he's read a lot about it. You wouldn't let that guy do brain surgery on you, and nor would you hire that person to do brain surgery because you would be too afraid of what would happen, right? We're not going to take risks with our brain and somebody operating that doesn't have the proper qualifications. So why in the world are we taking risks and allowing somebody to have access to our brain, to our heart, to our space, to our energy, to our homes? Let me tell you something. Do not let a temp into your home because it's so intimate. I want you to really, 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 really protect your space, your car, your home, anybody interacting with your pets. That needs to be reserved for people that you realize they're qualified. Now, they may not be the right fit because qualified candidates are not always the right fit at each company, right? I can tell you as a former recruiter in my days that sometimes I would have the perfect candidate. He would have or she would have the best education, the best experience, the right credentials, the right certifications. Perfect. We used to call them MPCs, most placeable candidate. But then I'd send them on an interview to an amazing company that had all the benefits and all the stuff they were looking for. And they would just say, really good company and I liked the guy, but just wasn't the right fit. I was like, what wasn't the right fit? I just didn't really like the environment that much. And what would people say? It was like work environment or the commute was too far. Look how we'll turn down a whole job, even for more money, because of a commute or because of benefits or because of the personality fit wasn't really there or we didn't really like the culture. We're kind of divas when it comes to picking our next job, right? Why be a diva when you're picking out your next boyfriend? This is a very, very serious role in your life. You are filling a position and when you find the qualified candidate, it's a perfect fit. The qualified candidate doesn't really need to be managed. They come in and they know how to do the job. They instantly sync. It's the person that, have you ever been the person, when you are the qualified candidate and they're like, yeah, I can tell you're already going to do great. And you're in the interview, but you have the job because they're already giving you a tour and they're already, you're going to be working with Mark here. And then this is Joe and he's going to manage this. And when you do XYZ, he's the one that's going to manage that process. So, hey, meet Melissa. She's blah, blah, blah. And you're like, yeah, I know I'm in, because you feel it. You feel that fit and everything just sinks together. And there's not a struggle in any of these areas, because when the commute's right, when the culture's right, when the manager fit is right, when the pay is right, when the bonuses are right, when you really like the job, you like the company, you like the product, bing, 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 all of it done. You're like, yep, I believe in everything and I'm excited. You get excited about that job. You should be that excited about the guy you're dating. You should be like, oh my gosh, this guy is so great. And he's going to be like, oh my gosh, this girl is so awesome. And he's not going to be erratic or weird with his responses. He's going to be like, I can't wait to see her again and again and again and again. And he's not going to be like, hey, you want to like grab some wine and go walk on the beach? Yes, he might do that. I'm not going to get some wine, walking on the beach. It's wonderful. However, it's so funny, hashtag, it's so cliche, walks on the beach, but still not underrated. However, it's not going to be his main thing, because the guy that's just trying to hang his hat on that one, he's trying to hang his hat on that one romantic thing he did. Yeah, remember when we walked on the beach that one night? It's like, okay, you got to be like, yeah, okay, I mean, I can go walk on the beach anytime. Like, you gotta contribute more. You have to show me how you qualify. What else you got, buddy? Other than a couple of wine glasses and a $20 bottle of wine. Like, do you have more you're bringing to the table? Because I got a lot going on in my life. So I need to make sure that you're worth the time away, even from my work that I'm doing, from the friends that I have. This person needs to be so compelling, so interesting, and so full of possibility that you're like, oh, I'm really excited to hang out with this guy again. He's awesome. Do you hear what I'm saying? Like, we're sitting there letting these guys be like, yeah, well, when my ex, when I found out that she was cheating, and, I'll tell you how I found out. It's like immediately your brain needs to be like, and I'm done. And I want to give you permission to walk away from in that moment. Ooh, you know what, buddy? Do the fake phone call. Who cares? You're never going to see this guy again. If you have a work cell phone, call your personal cell phone. Use that. Text your friend. Call me. Get me out of here. Or just say, you know what? I'm so sorry. I don't mean to end this date early, but I'm just not feeling very well. So if we can do this another time, that would be great. And then go. And then don't feel like you don't owe this guy. If he's going to be that guy and disrespect your time, he's not ready. He's not somebody you want to be friends with. He's not somebody you want to be his girlfriend. You don't have to sit there and be his counselor. You do not owe him that. He owes you the time and investing, and you're supposed to be getting to know each other and not being his therapist. And when he doesn't know the difference, and you do, and you go, not qualified. How many times have I talked to a hiring manager, and when the person is not right for the job, they tell me on the phone interview. They don't say, oh, we did the phone interview and I can really tell he's not a right fit, but I feel really bad, so I'm going to go ahead and meet him anyway. No, they don't do that. If you don't pass the phone interview, you don't move to the next step. Okay? So it's just that simple. Okay. So when they're not making plans to hang out and do things, when they're just making plans to hang out and they're not making plans to actually do real things, like go to a concert, go to a play, go see something, there's so many things that are happening in any community. Even if you say, hey, there's a cheese festival, or there's a wine festival, or there's there's this thing happening at the marina and we can go for a boat cruise, or we can go for whatever. You know what I mean? Like, when you're dating somebody new, you want experiences with them. You don't want to just hang out. Like, hanging out means I like being around you, but I really don't know. Maybe it's also a result of they're not really doing anything in their lives. They're not really going anywhere. They're not hanging out. They don't know restaurants they like. They don't know places that they enjoy entertainment. They don't go to museums. So they don't really know where to go on dates. They don't know what to do. They're not qualified. You're not qualified. And if I choose to, I want you to be thinking this. If he's not qualified for the job, then you're going to employ him as a temp. And you feel like in the dating world, a lot of us feel like we feel like we can date these temps until we find somebody else. But I want to ask you one question. Do you want to meet a guy who's dating his temp because he hopes to meet you? Is that the position you want to find him? Or would you rather meet a guy that says, yeah, I haven't dated anyone in 6 months. I've just been doing other things and blah, blah, blah. And you realize, his life's been open and he's not been dating. And so you feel like, I'm someone special because he doesn't just date anybody and he doesn't hang out with somebody that's not really worth his time. Do you see the difference? And I'm telling you, it's super tempting. So I'm being stern with you because I really want you to feel like, okay, I really want you to feel confident in these decisions. And it takes a while to get confident because as you're evaluating these guys and you're looking at it and you're like, okay, should I spend time with this guy? Should I not? First, if you even have to evaluate it, it's not the right person. But it goes against your nature and it goes against what you normally do when you just say, I'm just going to stop talking to him. It feels rude. You're going to feel rude at first because you're putting his needs before your own. So eventually it's going to flip where you're going to see, you're going to feel like you're being rude to yourself. And you're going to sense like, okay, it's like being around him is going to feel like a violation. Him in your space is going to feel like a violation. It's like, I can't have this energy here. And I want you to get really comfortable with the idea that he has not earned the right to allow his energy in your space. Okay? Just like Brene Brown, it sounds very similar to, he has not earned the right to hear your story. He's not qualified. There's only there really should only be one. There's going to be just one guy that's qualified. One out of all of them. So the selection process has to be extremely specific and particular. Ask happily married people. They are the pickiest people you will meet. And then ask them, if something were to happen to your spouse, would you be picky about who you married the second time? If you had to pick another spouse, what would be your qualifications? I just challenge you to ask any married person that question. And I want you to listen to all the things they list off that they would have to have. And I want you to also note one thing, how confident they feel that they're going to find that. They don't think, what I want's just not out there. No, they start saying, I'd have to have somebody. I asked one girl this. She said he would have to have money. He would have to have, actually, you know what? I asked Rachel Luna this on the podcast just a few podcasts ago. Rachel Luna was on. She was like, if something happened to my husband, I would want somebody who is financially stable. I don't know if I'd get married. If I did, he'd have to be financially stable. He would have to be, she just listed all these things. Because after going through marriage, after going through the trials that she's gone through and the challenges and kids and everything, people look at it from a different perspective. But she has extremely high standards. So there is no one that is worth lowering the standard, because what kind of a life do I live with this temp at my side? I'm going to date the temp. Sometimes you fall in love with the temp. I have fallen in love with many temps. So funny to call him a temp. I think this is going to stick. Is he a temp or is he the real thing? Are you dating a temp who's not qualified? You're dating an unqualified guy. I've dated so many unqualified guys thinking that I could take them through my certification process and really teach them and love them enough and make them see and blah, 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 blah. I really felt like I could do it. I felt like I could do it enough for the both of us. And I failed miserably at dating the temps. And I spent a lot of time with the temps. And you know why? because I didn't know what I was bringing to the table. I didn't know my own value. And this is what I teach all of my girls. Time spent with me as we work together. What you will discover is your own value. That's really what I teach you in the Back to You Academy. We reveal this to you little by little by little. As you see these patterns and you go through this, you're going to be able to identify your own value as you go through this journey. Because the Back to You Academy is really a journey, and it's going through the steps of realizing this. Because even if you're in a bad relationship right now, it's so hard. Even if you hear this whole podcast and you're like, Melissa, I married the temp. What do I do? Look, this is not an overnight solution. Sometimes, with people that are married or going through a divorce, usually it takes about 6 sessions to get you through that process. So if you don't want to do the academy and you want to just focus on your personal situation and you want me to just work with you one-on-one, then I'd recommend you, if you have a very lengthy process that you go through, the package of 6 sessions is pretty sufficient. You might feel like, I just had someone do 6 sessions and then she was like, I still want that weekly check-in. So then she joined the academy so she could get the content and basically give herself some stability and a foundation to continue forward. So I want you to think of this academy, this time. If you resonate with this podcast, if you're still listening to this right now, you will be such a great fit. So many of you are out there dating, you're messaging me, but man, this is the time to really say, hey, you know what? I don't want to go into 2020 feeling like I'm behind. Can you believe we're going to say this? 2020. But anyway, do you want to go into 2020 still feeling like you don't really know how to sharpen these skills? And do you really know when to walk away? Do you know when you have a good guy? Do you know if you've dated so many gumball guys that the nice guy that really is in front of you isn't boring? You're just used to so many gumball guys that you can't tell? Do you feel confident making that decision by yourself? Do you feel confident that you do you feel like you might miss an opportunity because you don't know how to judge this? I'm telling you, I wish I had me teaching me 10 years ago so bad. Like, I would pay for me 10 years ago. Allow myself to introduce myself. I would, though. I would have, knowing what I know now, if I could go back and just deposit that into my brain, do you know how many relationships I would have avoided? How many pitfalls I would have, so many things. I just think of, obviously I wouldn't be doing this, right? I would be doing something else. So I was meant to step in those holes, but I came up with this to keep you from stepping in those holes, because for some reason God said, I'm going to give this to Melissa so that I can pass it on to you, because you are supposed to do something different. You're not supposed to create Gumball Love. You're not supposed to be a relationship coach. You're supposed to be what? What is that thing you're supposed to be? And you're not going to be that thing unless you stop dating guys that suck the life out of you. If you have a temp in your house, you're not going to achieve your dreams, because he will suck the energy out of you. He doesn't live at that frequency. So you're playing 2 radio stations at the same time. It doesn't work. It's just like he's rap and you're classical, and they don't go together. You know what I mean? It's like too much noise, and that is not going to, so you have to be able to shut that off and be like, okay. And then there's this period where, yeah, maybe it's quiet. Maybe you're not dating somebody, but can you handle that period? Or are you going to jump right back on an app without healing and attract another one because you don't know what to look for? Do you really feel confident you know what to look for? Can you really judge these red flags? Because I'm telling you these things all in a very succinct stream. It's only been 1 hour right now. So in 1 hour, but there's so many little tiny things. I'm telling you what you might see in a few dates. But what about date 1? What about right before, in those first texts? Do you feel confident that you're going to go, oh, Gumball Guy, boom, because I can help you. I can help you see those red flags. You guys, do you know, in my academy graduates, I do not have one girl that has returned back to her Gumball Guy. If I get you through this academy, you need to go through a breakup, you will get through it, and you won't go back. I have 100%. I just realized this the other day, 100% success rate. No one's gone back to their Gumball Guy, because once you see it, you can't unsee it. And then you will be so empowered going forward that you will build the confidence to make the right decisions so that your life stays on track and you start going. This is why I love the quote, go confidently in the direction of your dreams and live the life you have imagined. If you live the life you have imagined, then you will start to see who fits into that life. And when you see who fits into that life, you will start to see the ones that deserve a permanent position. You know, I used to work in the permanent and the temporary staffing. If it was permanent staffing, then it was the person that was right for the role long term. So let's find the guy that's right for the role long term. Let's fire the temp, because in relationships, it's okay to let that position go unfilled for a while. And let's really see and evaluate, because sometimes even in companies, they fill a role and they put someone in a position that doesn't even really need to be there. And they don't really see that it doesn't need to be there until sometimes when somebody leaves, they realize, oh, we never really needed to fill that position. Sometimes you need to not fill that position in your life, and you need to allow your life to go on without them, because you need to grow to a certain place where then all of a sudden it's like, okay, now it feels like we're right again to add that other person to our staff. Okay. I hope that analogy kind of helps you. Are you at a point where you really need and are welcoming a contributor, or are you filling a void? We don't want to be in a position to fill a void. You also don't want to be the void that someone else is filling. I don't want to fill someone's void. I want to be the person that they say, wow, this person's awesome. She's really going to contribute to my life. You're a contributor. You are an amazing deal. You're on this podcast because you don't want baggage. You don't want to bring baggage to the table. You want to work this out so that you have a healthy relationship, so that you raise beautiful children together, that you have a future that you're excited about. Let's leave all of these relationship drama, all this yucky stuff behind, and start pursuing the real deal. We're going for the real deal. So we're not going to hang out with temps. We're not going to have people around us that suck the life out of us. We're not going to have people altering our energy. We're going to find the people that match our energy, that really are synced up with us. That's who we're going to spend our time with. Even if that's one or two people, that's okay. Spend time around the people that get you. Look, almost nobody in my life gets what I'm doing with Gumball Love. Family, friends, they don't really understand, but I knew what I had to do. I knew where I had to go. I knew what I had to build. So you know what? I found the people that understand building, just even putting together a podcast, doing live broadcasting, what systems need to be here, what software needs to be here. I can't talk to anybody else about that other than people that are within my industry. And then on top of that, I had to hire coaches to really get in sync so that I could build something that I know in my heart is what I need to do. And so sometimes you've got to really ask yourself, man, what am I here to do? What is going to take me to that next level? And sometimes it's only going to be maybe one person. Maybe no one understands at first. Maybe you're just listening to podcasts of people that you feel like are on your same level. I don't know what you're called to do, but I feel like we're all here together for a reason. And I know that my purpose is to awaken your purpose. I'm not just here to help you find a guy. I don't even feel like I am here to help you find a guy. I feel like I'm here to help you see who you are, so that you know how valuable your contribution is in the world. And then my prayer for you is that you find the right partner that helps you fulfill that. And then my prayer is that partner, his dream, his goal, his purpose beautifully comes together with yours. And you just are a dream team. You're that power couple, the alpha female and the alpha male, building a beautiful, strong life together. That's my prayer for you. And that's the whole mission of Gumball Love, is to help you identify the fake love, the sugar love, the high that they're looking for that's only temporary. Oh my gosh, temporary fix, temp. That's just so random how that fit. But the Gumball Guy wants the temporary fix, and he's also the temp. But too many analogies, but I hope you hear me. So sorry if I sound sleep deprived, because I am, but little Lucy Lulu was a little squirmy in her sleep, but she did sleep all night long. So I'm very happy most of the night, but you know how it is when you have, if you've slept with a baby in your bed, or, when they're so little, it's hard to really sleep soundly because you don't want to roll over on them, or if they have to get up, it's like, so yeah, I might be a little bit kind of off my game today, but I hope this helped you and, cleared up some things. So I have no idea, Dana, help me name this podcast. I have no idea what the title of this is going to be, because it started out as identifying the very early signs of the wrong guy and being able to pick up on those cues right away, so that, man, he's cute. Man, I really like him. But I see what's unfolding here, and I know I need to walk away. I want to give you the strength and the power to do that. So let me know what you think of this episode. Also, if you are ready to go to the next level, September 9th, we're not doing another one till October. So this is your chance. I'm going to be talking to you all week. This is the official launch of the Back to You Academy, going into or rounding out 2019, and we'll start more in 2020. So I hope you get in, because don't waste any more time. I don't want you to go into the holidays. Holidays are coming. Don't go into the holidays feeling icky, or let's get this stuff wrapped up this year, Let's start 2020 from a really good place, not from a place where we're making resolutions. Let's just start the new year right now. And by the time we get to, we're toasting champagne January 1, 2020, that we're toasting to really, we're toasting to the fact that we've leveled up and we're ready to do it again. But it's from a very accomplished, and where you're sitting there going, man, look at all the things I accomplished from September till now. All right. Are you ready? Let's do this. Until next time, I'll see you soon. Thank you so much for listening. If you want more information, or to schedule a private coaching session, or better yet, to join the next Back to You Academy, go to gumballlove.com. If you loved this podcast, I would love for you to share it with your friends. And if you really loved it, a 5-star review is the best compliment you can give. Remember, you are enough, you are right where you should be, and the only thing you have to do is keep going. I'll leave you with my favorite quote by Henry David Thoreau. Go confidently in the direction of your dreams and live the life you have imagined. Until next time, I'll see you soon.